Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Proactive podcast. My name is Hannah Barnett. I'm an editorial assistant here at Proactive Publications.
Hi, and I'm Phil Nicholls, Editorial Manager at Proactive Publications.
So on this podcast, we share interviews the team has made for the Inside Food and Drink magazine. Who do we have today, Phil?
This episode features highlights from my interview last summer with Nicky Walker, the Managing Director of Walker's Shortbread.
And this was one of your favourite interviews, wasn't it?
Definitely, yes. We speak with all sorts of companies at Proactive, but this was the first one I felt connected to. I've been eating Walker's Shortbread biscuits for years, especially at Christmas. This company almost felt personal to me as it was connected to my history.
Let's hear what Nicky had to say.
Right, so back to the history of Walker's Shortbread. What can you tell me? What do you feel have been the milestones?
I think that the milestones, I think ironically next year is 125th year.
Wow.
So it is a bit something special.
Yes.
And I joined the company in 1998, just as we were having a 100th year celebration, so it's those are two quite remarkable milestones, even for a family business. So that's something we're hugely proud of. And as a board and organisation, we're sitting down now and just starting putting things together for some events next year to celebrate the occasion.
Mm-hmm.
But the family, we go back, it's 125 years when it was little more than a village bakery. We started off in a village about 60 miles from here called Torfins. It was little more than a horse and cart and a local baker with my great-grandfather, the old traditional way. And then we moved to Aberlour, and then since that it's been different generations. So I'm now the fourth generation in the business.
Yeah.
And my son is also in the business, which is the fifth generation, so we're continuing things going forward. So no, that's absolutely been... it's been a family entity in the most thorough way possible, I would suggest.
Just slightly off topic, I've actually done a couple of interviews recently with European companies celebrating large milestones, and both of them said they were writing a book to capture the history.
Yeah, it seems to be the flavour of the month right now. It seems to be the thing that's done. So we're looking. That's one of the projects we're looking at as a company. But I mean, there's my uncle James. My father has sadly passed away last year. My uncle James is still with us, and he has got a fantastic knowledge of what's went before.
Yeah.
So trying to tie him down to pick his brains is proving quite difficult. But the intent is to bring out a book of some description on the company and celebrating the history in the 125 years.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that would be fascinating for so much history and so much has changed.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that, but I think the context of the book or the content of the book has to be right. If it's too much narrative, then it's going to switch people off. So we've got to get a little bit pictorial and a little bit of narrative and make it a book that somebody wants to as you said, that people show interest in.
Yeah. As the fourth generation, as you said, Walker family to take the reins, what would you consider to be the biggest legacy of the previous generation?
I think the biggest legacy has absolutely got to be the brand and Shortbread. I think my father and my uncle were joint managing directors for the best part of 60 years between them. So it's not many people or anybody within the business knows any different. These guys have always been here going about things. So the legacy they have left, my father in particular, who I worked in close proximity with, was all about humility, hard work and humbleness. Humility, hard work and honesty.
Yeah.
And he used to talk about the whole time, the 3 H's, and those are the things that really has been steeped in the business. And not just for the family, but right through for all our staff who've been long serving as well. And somebody said today, your dad should actually, with an auditor on site today, doing an ethical audit, and he's been coming for about 20 years. And he actually said he saw this same article or a similar article in the paper mentioning the 3 H's. And he said, I was thinking about your dad. And he said, it should really be 4 H's, he said, because humanity was a huge thing for your father.
Humanity,
And those ways of doing things or conducting yourself is very much what's been passed on to us as a business. We're immensely proud of the brand. We're immensely proud of the businesses we built up for us, and the responsibility comes in ensuring that stays for the next generation.
Yeah. again, slightly off topic, I wore my red waistcoat today in honour of your red tartan packaging.
You're doing all the right things.
Oh, well,
all the right. You're making all the right moves.
I mean, obviously that's... I remember that from my childhood, the Walker's Shortbread fingers. So would you kind of have that similar sort of... It's always been there in your family as part of your even almost sort of out of work traditions, as sort of growing up around.
Yeah, I mean, we all grew up just in the village. I mean, it's a small village. We come from around about 2,000 people, you know, and at peak times, and a couple of years back now, pre-COVID, we probably employed about 1,750 people. You know, so there's a huge involvement in the village.
Yeah.
It's a small area, but we all come. All the Walker family comes from Aberlour. You know, so we're all staying in the houses round about the place. We all, you know, until I was 14, I lived in a flat above the shop. You know, which backed onto the old bakery. So I grew up covered in flour and dust and butter and sugar. You know, and you were never very far off getting pulled in to help out when things when it was needed. You know.
Okay, so that moves us nicely on about your current facilities. How are you all? Is it still just sort of the one site?
No, what we have now, we're a two-site operation in terms of production. So we have in Aberlour we've got 4 production facilities, and in Elgin, which is 15 miles away, we have another 2. So in total we've got 6 production facilities, and within those there are probably 31 over 30 manufacturing lines.
Okay.
You know, so there's different types of manufacturing lines, but there's over 30 different lines that we can produce product on.
Sorry, and how many employees are you at now?
Employees just now, we're sitting about 1,200.
Certainly at the
We've got 1,200 people working for us just now. Because we're still looked upon as a seasonal product, as the number, as it gets towards Christmas time, our requirement for more people in traditional years would step up. So we probably had about 400 to 500 people that came in on seasonal jobs. So the normal workforce was about 1,600 the back part of the year, 1,600, maybe 1,700. But since Brexit and COVID and a variety of other issues that have happened, it's been more difficult to get the workforce required. So last year we only got to about 1,400 people, just over 1,400 people.
Okay. One of the newsworthy events is yourself in a new managerial role. Would you have any other newsworthy events that you would like to share?
I kind of went through your questions number by number, and I look at some of the answers and that. But I think in terms of my own position, it's you know, I think I've been on the board now for about 12 years.
Right.
I've been in the business for 25 years. So it's not really unannounced or unexpected to a degree. But I think with my father and my Uncle James, you know, being, as I said, probably the best part of 50 or 60 years in the business, then it, you know, it was difficult to be the front man. I think the last number of years, I think we've increased the board, and we brought in some experience and knowledge where required in terms of a financial director, a new non-executive chairman, a new commercial director, and none of these guys are family members, which is quite a difficult thing for us to deal with, you know. Not the traditional way of doing things, but it's very much needed as we try and modernise what we're doing in our outlook.
The modernisation, would you feel that that's sort of your goal, short-term goal?
Well, I think it's been forced upon us to a degree, Phil. I think that when you say modernisation, I think by that you're really talking about automation.
Okay.
And in terms of, you know, so that there's no intent to change the process. The manufacturing process. Right. That is traditional. That's what we do. We still make in batch quantities. It's how our whole business is set up, and we still believe the knowledge and the expertise of the bakers that are at the production end is invaluable to our product quality. However, you know, a lot of the finished pack formats that we have on the shelves are very labour intensive.
Yeah.
You know, and I think with the amount of different SKUs that we have, different products on the market, it's very difficult to automate. So what we've done as a board is we've looked at a bit of rationalisation, trying to slim down what we're offering, and that in turn allows us to put in some more advanced automation in terms of picking up products and putting them into receptacles.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot in that conversation. Yes. I guess what I'm trying to say deep down is we don't want to go to mass production.
No.
We still want to produce in batch quantities, and we're looking at the packing end where we can install more automation there in a more simple fashion. It was a step, I think, when Brexit was announced back in the day. We thought that what's the consequence for us as a business? Geographically where we're situated is not ideal. We're not blessed with tens of thousands of people up here. No. So you're trying to think of all the consequences of Brexit or of whatever else may happen. Yeah. And at that time we thought, okay, well, really, I think staff and the migrant workforce we benefited from, I think, is going to be affected quite severely. So at that time we looked at automating a couple of our lines, the packing lines, and we did that probably about late 2018, early 2019, and that has stood us in good stead this last couple of years. We've had the benefits of that. But it's still a long way to go, and we're still looking at further initiatives to allow that to happen.
So, moving on, would you have any company facts and figures that you'd be happy sharing, or should we just keep it?
I think what we... I think last year our turnover was at 142 million. These are all publicly available figures. Our turnover last year was 142 million, and that was an increase from the year before. But it would be fair to say that both the last 2 years are below the pre-pandemic levels of turnover. And also I think our levels of profitability the last couple of years have been more condensed than they ought to have been. I think with dealing with aspects of COVID and with various requirements with logistics and different things. So it's been a couple of tough years for us. But we're moving in the right direction, and the projects we're working on internally just now, I think we'll see the fruits of that in good time.
Move it through, good. Yes. Now, what would you describe as your most popular products? I mean, obviously within Shortbread.
You touched on it earlier on. The Shortbread finger. Absolutely, without fear of contradiction, it's still by far and away the most popular product. We've probably got, of the 30 production lines, we've probably got 5 or 6 are doing that full time, doing the fingers.
Yeah.
Each of the production lines can make roughly 500,000 fingers a day, so there's quite a demand for them, as that figures will tell you.
That's a lot of shortbread.
That's a lot of shortbread.
No, I did. Having a look on your, having a look around your website, and I saw there's the Millionaire Shortbread recipe. Now that did look lovely, where you add the caramel and chocolate on top of the shortbread finger.
Yeah, I think it's not something that it's just a recipe we're suggesting. We're not actually making that product. It's a remarkably difficult product to make in any automated fashion.
Right.
It's almost like a home bake for your tray at home.
Yes.
Your grandma do it in her kitchen. So, but what we have done is with other variants of it, where we include toffee and we include chocolate in the mixes or covered the product and that. So we've got variants of it, but not a millionaire shortbread per se.
Not yet. What project would you think sort of best highlights the company capabilities? Are we still on shortbread fingers, or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that I think what we're looking at as a board just now is really, as I said earlier on, the portfolio we're offering to customers is a little bit too big, and we'll have to rationalise. A lot of our competitors and a lot of other manufacturing companies are looking at product engineering to downsize products and different things, but as yet we haven't done that. But I still think we're offering too much across the categories, and that there's a real desire to streamline what we're doing in terms of product offerings, and that in turn should simplify our internal operations in terms of production. So that's a big thing for us just now. One of the automated lines I was talking about was a pick and place line for picking up the fingers. Mm-hmm. So instead of having maybe 8 to 10 people on the belt, hand picking up these products and putting them into plastic trays, it's done by robots now. So it's really a fascinating machine to see working, and I think a lot of people spend a lot of time looking at it rather than doing anything.
Doing the work.
But no, it's just the way technology moves forward.
Yeah. So again, sort of slightly moving back, you're saying you have a seasonal turnover almost. Would you say that it's all the lines fluctuate seasonally, or is it just sort of, again, shortbread fingers?
Absolutely. I think what we do, I think shortbread's still looked upon largely as a Christmas product, a Christmas luxurious product, and therefore our sales ramp up towards the back part of the year. Where we're fortunate is that probably 50%, not quite 50%, but 45% of what we make gets exported.
Okay.
So therefore, to get that to the Christmas markets abroad in reasonable time, it means from summertime on we're pretty busy in terms of making a variety of shortbread. So for instance, we send a festive shape product, which is like a Santa face and a bell. That goes out to Australia, and that gets sent. We're making that in May and June. We haven't even had summer here yet. We're making Christmas shapes, so it's quite unusual.
Would you say there was a regional difference in the shortbread that people prefer? Is it consistent around the world, or do some parts of the world
I would say that. Yeah, I would say it's pretty consistent, but I think the key thing is the quality of the product.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of products that are imitations or probably not quite so luxurious as our product, and I think that can give people a misrepresentation of what a piece of shortbread should taste like. So I think if it's a nice piece of shortbread made in the proper fashion, then regardless of the shape, I think it's well received globally.
Kind of leads us on to question 8 for Walker's USP. Would you say that is your traditional manufacturing process?
Yes, absolutely. We still manufacture as we used to. We still manufacture in batch quantities, which we feel gives a better control over the product. We never ever, I think that the point of difference that we have is we never ever compromise on the quality of our ingredients. We don't scrimp and save and perhaps use a lesser ingredient. We source the very finest ingredients we can, and I think when you're dealing with such a traditional product, there's little margin for error. So I think we have to give us a point of difference. It has to be the very best we can do.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was a legacy left by our great grandfather. That was his goal to make the finest shortbread possible, and we're all just following suit.
So it is essentially the first generation recipe that you're still manufacturing?
Very much, yeah. And I think absolutely. There's variants on a theme, if you will. There's little tweaks here and there, but intrinsically it's the same. It's the same 4 base product it's always been: flour, butter, salt, sugar, a little bit of salt and a little bit less sugar nowadays, but absolutely the same recipes.
I have to admit, I do bake my own shortbread, but I just can't get that that break. Shortbread finger.
You're the first person who says that, because everyone says their own shortbread's much better than ours. When you make it at home, it's much better. I prefer my grand's. I wish I had a pound every time someone said that to me.
Oh. Okay. So how does Walker's Shortbread ensure its products meet the evolving requirements and trends of the marketplace?
Well, I think that's something we've always had an eye on. We're selling in over 100 countries, over 120 countries now. There's product going there. So from those countries and from the sales markets in those countries, there's demands come back for us and say, look, can you look at this, or have you done that, have you thought of that? So there's a lot coming back that way, and then as well as the different pack sizes, I think that's quite important. Whether it's a portion pack or it's a big offering. Yeah. So all those things. Yeah.
Now you did talk about sourcing quality ingredients. So how do you work with suppliers and partners to build up the long-term relationships with them?
Yeah, I was like, when that question was down there, I went to a little bit of research, just from my own knowledge, and some of our existing suppliers we've been working with for 50 years.
Wow.
And some of these companies, they've maybe changed names or been bought over, but intrinsically it's still the same company. So like our oven manufacturer from Denmark, they originally were called Meinke, and then they get bought over by Buehler's, a big German company, but it's still the same guys in Denmark making ovens. And we've been buying ovens from them for 50 years, and my dad, when the company started, that Walker Shortbread was this size, Meinke was this size, and the two guys met, so no, it's amazing. But I think that, but in terms of ingredients, I think that there's a long, hard effort getting ingredients, packaging, specification that we require, that we think marries up with our product perfectly. There's no sense having a lovely product inside poor packaging. So the whole marriage between the packaging and product has to be just right. Now our suppliers, I think, realise that and appreciate that, and we'll continue to work with them. They've not always been the most economical to deal with, but certainly I think the finished quality is right. And therefore, and the other bonus in that point is that when we perhaps have a demand for something that we are short of, then I think we can depend on these relationships that come through for us to a degree. It's more than just the price and that. I think the two-way relationship between companies is absolutely crucial.
Yes, and to have that long-term stability between you to build up the relationship. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now on the topic of sort of packaging, how sustainability seems to be the buzzword. How do you manage your environmental impact?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is such a hot topic just now, and with absolute justification. But it's something we've always tried to do and do in the best possible fashion. We going back 22, 23 years, we got involved with the climate change agreement. Mm-hmm. And that was 23 years ago, where it was measuring your electricity or your utility usage against your output of dough, basically. Yeah. So we've been, and that's set with decreasing targets on an annual or biannual basis, and we've been with that for 23 years. So that's one big marker that we have. We've also, our website's got bits and pieces on it, but some of the things that we've done. So there's not very much that we haven't done. But we're also looking at different topics and themes and projects going forward where we can improve things. But it gets to the point where, at the end of the day, we have a product, we'll have to bake it. So we need to use electricity or oil, however it may be, to bake it, and we need to get rid of the hot air. So a slight counter to that is that in terms of our recycling and reusability, there was less than 2% of our waste generated last year went to landfill. Wow. Everything else gets reused, refed. Like the biscuits and the stuff that's not 100% perfect. Gets sold as rejects, or else the stuff ends up the floor. We sell to the local farmers for pig feed.
Okay, yeah.
So if anybody tells you Danish bacon's the best in the world, don't listen to them. It's Scottish bacon. They're fed on grass and shortbread.
They ought to market that shortbread fed bacon.
Exactly.
They're missing out.
You're wasting USP, that would be.
Yes. I can imagine in a relatively small community, you must have sort of close links then with the surrounding community.
Absolutely, yeah. We think we're part and parcel of the community. Many of our staff are locals, yes. And not only that, their fathers and forefathers have also worked with us in that. So we have a huge responsibility. We're probably the biggest employer in our area in Speyside right now. Yeah. The main industries are whisky, obviously, the Baxter's down the road, the woolen mill, the Cashmere woolen mill. But we're probably the biggest employers, and with that comes a huge responsibility. I think later on, and you've asked a question about the objectives for the company. Yeah. But one of the objectives is to remain here. We don't want to go and make shortbread anywhere else. We want to be in Speyside. We want to be part of the community, and we want to offer careers and jobs to as many of the locals as we possibly can. Yeah,
no, absolutely. Then be the biggest challenges that you face. Have you been impacted by global supply issues?
Yeah, been an absolute shocker for us. Yeah. An absolute, yes, absolutely. So the biggest things that affected us most the last couple of years was availability of staff. And that's down to Brexit or people not coming here. So that's a big risk for us. The availability and price volatility across all markets, has been an absolute shocker as well. And an example is, we get a lot of our novelty tins, we're taking in from Europe or from China. Uh-huh. So they've got to then get here. So if there's issues with the Suez Canal and shipping containers being moved elsewhere, we're a real problem. And then not only that, that's getting the raw ingredients here, but once we've got the product made, because we're shipping to probably a lot of the stuff to the States, but also to 120 different countries, the availability of containers to get finished product to the market was also a real challenge for us. And the prices last year were absolutely sky high. Traditionally a container of tins coming in from China was round about $4,000. Yeah. Pre-issues last year. During last year, it went up to $18,000 at some given time. So horrendous.
Yeah, that's
outrageous. But not only that, I think also, Phil, we're going to our suppliers and they're having the same issues. Yeah. If we're going to try and get cartons or tins or butter or whatever it may be, they're being let down by their suppliers. It's been there's lots and lots of challenges, and I think the thing that we say internally is that you can do the very best you can with business, but it's the factors that you can't control that are the bugbear. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to say that, but it's just the factors you can't control. If the price goes up, then if you want the commodity, you've got to pay it, and that's just the way we are. Yeah. So it's been a difficult couple of years.
Big challenge,
Yeah.
So obviously you mentioned one objective is to stay where you are. Would you have anything else that you could share for your sort of plans and future?
Yeah. I think we'll spend a bit of time with this with the board the last probably 6 months, and we've just issued a new set of objectives for the coming year. But the one that always comes to the top is that we want to remain a family-owned and managed business.
Yeah.
And we won't be based in Speyside, and we're never going to compromise on quality. We want to produce outstanding products. Now, you can put as many fancy words around whatever else you want to say as possible, but that tells everyone everything they need to know about the business.
Yeah.
The other bits, the other objectives below that, we obviously want to be a brand that people are proud of,
Yeah.
and that's both consumers and people producing, the people that are working for the company. We want to be a company where people, we want to be a respected company, that people are happy to say they work for us and they want to come and work. And as I said, I keep going back to quality, but quality is a point that we always hammer home.
Yes.
We never compromise on quality, the best we possibly can be. We're probably a bit that's probably missing from today's discussion about projects. We're doing a rebranding project.
Okay.
So we're looking at modernising the brand.
Okay.
In certain markets, it was considered that the tartan looked a little bit dated. So we've modernised it, but it made it a little bit more contemporary.
Okay.
We've rolled it out in duty-free, the duty-free markets just now, and there's a couple going into some supermarkets, but we'll continue to roll out and refresh the brand over this next period, and it's it's a fairly major undertaking to go around all the different SKUs that we have.
Yeah.
But it's certainly been very well received just now, and we think we're on the right tracks with it.
Just to clarify, is that removing the tartan or is it updating the tartan?
It's contemporising it, I think, is a phrase
okay.
to use.
All right.
I'll let you be the judge. Give me a second.
Oh, okay.
So this is one of the new packs. Sorry, I'll get this right.
Okay, yeah.
Tartan is more, it's more contemporary.
Okay.
It's a bigger white front.
Yeah.
And apparently it's more appealing to the next generation of shortbread eaters.
Okay.
Whereas before, something more traditional. Get this camera off.
Yes.
Something more traditional. So it's a little bit more different, but not a huge.
No.
And we're hoping that to the connoisseur they'll notice a fine difference and improvement. It just looks fresher.
Yeah.
But it's not a radical change away altogether.
Okay. Well, on a personal level, I'm very pleased you're keeping the tartan. That is such an iconic visual.
And you're 100% right. And that I think when we got the design companies in, they said tartan's hard to work with, and we understand that. But why would you give away the crown jewels?
No.
You have to maintain that, and I think some members of the board were quite keen to minimalise the tartan.
Okay, yeah.
And I think with some of the older members of the board, the family members, were quite keen to retain it as much as possible. So we hope we've got it right. A couple of the products in the market are okay. Some are more white than others, but there's another one here as well. I'll show you.
Okay.
Sorry, excuse me a second.
No, it's all good.
These are going into duty free.
Oh, okay. Oh,
So
yes.
you still see the tartan, but we think there's a little bit too much white on that.
That's a lot of white.
So
yeah.
we're talking about putting a sleeve across it to, because the tartan.
Yeah.
As much as we're proud of the name, we've made the name bigger.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And we've did that. But what all travel the world, and we sit in bars and we sit in restaurants, and people, oh, you're Scottish, and I like whiskey, and I like golf, and I like all the usual things. There's be shortbread. Oh, yeah, I like shortbread. What do you like? Oh, the red tartan one.
Yes.
Yeah, so people say that a lot. So we use that a lot when we're speaking to the agencies, and that we really need to retain that.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, almost that's your recognisability on the shelf. As you're walking along, and it's like
such a USP.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, I have.
It's something we can use quite well. So, and I think we do it quite tastefully. So
yes.
there's a modern tweak to it. Let's say.
Yeah. But still the tartan. That's wonderful. We have got a final question. If you've still got the time for one more.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So, in the light of global events, how is your company ensuring its long-term relationships with suppliers and clients remains as strong as possible?
I have to answer this quite carefully. I think we did sell product to Russia, and we did sell products in Ukraine, and those were among the countries. But we decided not to do that just now. We decided not to put product to Russia.
Okay.
In terms of suppliers, we don't have one single supplier.
No.
but lots of suppliers are affected. I think the whole thing on saying that 30% of the world's wheat comes from Ukraine, and that's no longer available this year. It won't be available next year, so that's going to have a supply and demand issue. But right now, our existing suppliers are telling us that they don't have any concerns regarding supply availability for us. So they haven't said they'll maintain the price, but at least they've said that we'll have availability on those products and that. So I suppose small mercies.
Yes, been a pleasure.
I would say it's going back to the point I touched on earlier on, where really, we can't affect, things we can't affect our business. We can't tell what's going to happen in the Ukraine as most people can.
Well, no.
It's dealing with the consequence in the most suitable fashion after that,
Yes.
But please don't call him Mr. Walker. I'm only young. Nicky's fine.
Okay. Nicky, sorry. Well, I think we've covered everything. That's been most enjoyable. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for taking time to interview me, and then it was very nice to talk with you.
And that was Nicky Walker.
Yeah, I really enjoyed chatting with Nicky.
If you want to read the full article, then it was published in issue 20 of our Food and Drink magazine, which you can read following the link in our show notes.
To learn more about Walker's Shortbread, you can find their Instagram at Walker's Shortbread, all one word.
For more food and drink coverage from us at Proactive Publications, you can follow our LinkedIn at Inside Food and Drink. So thank you for listening, and come back soon for another great interview. Goodbye.
Goodbye.